Molo Sanbonani, hello, how's it? Good day, good day, good day. This is the Vuka Nazo Show. My name is Sihle Ngobese. Welcome to it. Remember, all you need to do is hit that like button, of course. And if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the show. Help me grow my numbers and reach my goal of 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Guys, remember, we have a website. Find us, please, at BigDaddyLiberty.com. Now, with that jibber jabber out the way, let's get straight into the news. At some stage, we're going to have a conversation, especially as a broader South African community, about the behavior and conduct of those who protest in this country. Yep, the clip you saw is from the University of the Western Cape, which has, of course, in the last week been beset by protests, often violent protests by students that saw them clash with not only security, campus security that you saw in that video clip where two of those students picking up one of the paintball guns and shooting it back at the campus security, but also the Cape Peninsula University of Technology, that's CPUT, also had violent protests last week. And what were these protests about? Well, they effectively were students protesting a decision by the National Student Financial Aid Scheme to change its rules around funding for certain categories of students. That is, students who are doing courses that fall below a certain credits threshold would no longer be funded. That, of course, sparking the violent protests that even saw buildings being torched and destroyed at CPUT. But don't take my word for it. It was covered quite well in this independent piece that wrote the story up as follows. Now, it described, of course, tear gas and rubber bullets being fired at CPUT students at its District 6 campus after buildings had been torched. This is, of course, according to MACO member for Safety and Security in Cape Town, JP Smith. Two students were arrested outside CPUT's Bellville campus after the institution was closed because of violent protests by aggrieved students related to, as I mentioned, NSFAS and accommodation issues, end of quote. Yep, scenes of very violent protests, as I said, as JP mentioning, that forced the CPUT as a university to shut down its institution as of last week Friday, ordering all students out of residences and putting them on buses and sending them home. That's how bad the situation had become. Indeed, let me quickly read from this EWN piece which detailed that particular move. Now, CPUT said its academic activities are now moving online amid ongoing discussions to resolve the issues cited during the student protest. The institution removed students living at its residences over the weekend as a measure to mitigate demonstrations. Now, the university said a total of 52 buses were hired to transport students to their homes. Now, according to journalist Uludidi Velane, a very sad image was cut by these students who, some of them were waiting outside in the cold for their buses to arrive. As you can see, they're desperate images of students waiting outside, sometimes even in the cold, winter snappy weather, waiting for these buses to arrive. Again, these students now, presuming they aren't part of the violent protesters, are now the victims of those very same protests. Now they are paying a very heavy price for the violent, wanton destruction of these student protesters, these student activist leaders who take it upon themselves to act an absolute fool. And here's the thing, for all actions, there will always be repercussions. And these are very, very hard repercussions indeed for these students. And as I said at the beginning of the segment, a conversation needs to be had in this country around how we protest firstly, generally as society, but also how that same bad conduct in protests often finds expression on university campuses by these political types who are often leading revolutions on campus. It is often the poor and the poorest students who suffer the most at their hands. As to where things will go now, online courses, of course, at CPUT, UWC, apparently peace has sort of been restored there, but a harsh disciplinary action has to be taken against these students who take it upon themselves to destroy shared spaces for other students. Until that happens, then this sort of wanton destruction and misery will continue. All right, that's it for this episode of Vuka Nazo. Hope you enjoyed this particular topic. What do you think about the analysis? You can drop me a comment whether you're watching this simulcast on Facebook or on YouTube. Do me an even bigger favor, like and share the content, especially if you like what we're doing here. Remember, whether you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube, like please the page and the content. And of course, if it is YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification so that you're notified every time we are on your screens. Guys, remember, you can support the work that we're doing financially. 75 Rand a month is more than enough that you can contribute. Find a payment method that suits you on our website at bigdaddyliberty.com. With that being said, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next episode of the Vuka Nazo Show.